Welcome back to Combat Consulting. This is part 3 of the Pivot series. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, check them out here, because I use the same concepts and terms in this video. Before you watch, take a second to like and subscribe. It's free and you can change your mind at any time. It helps the channel so much, and I take subscriber requests for videos. This is the angle we're going to analyze today: lead pivots versus opposite-handed opponents. A lead pivot versus an opposite-handed opponent gives you a teed-up angle, while taking you away from their power hand, which is the one most likely to knock you out. You can combine many other tactics with a lead pivot, and it's useful in a lot of other scenarios. Lead pivots help you escape pressure, get off the ropes, all while creating an angle you can exploit. As soon as your rear foot hits the ground and you're back in your stance after you lead pivot, you're in a position to engage the full kinetic chain and fire your rear/power hand. Shakur's 2-3 body 2 occupies Valdez, and before Valdez can counter back, Shakur takes himself out of Valdez's LOA, framing while he lead pivots, and just as his rear foot hits the ground, he fires a 6, which lands square. Lead sidestep pivot is another variation to get a teed-up angle, and can be used defensively and offensively. A lateral lead foot step simultaneous with the push off the rear foot in the same lateral direction gives you angles and options. This is a lead sidestep pivot. It's good for making a quick exit or preparing the check hook, but more on that later. To build up to a lead sidestep pivot, I practice different variations. First, stepping my lead foot out to the side, then pivoting while I push laterally off my rear foot. Then, I blend these motions and push laterally off my rear foot while simultaneously sidestepping my lead foot. I also like to practice the step back, and as soon as I land on my rear foot, I change direction 90 degrees, pushing off my rear foot laterally and beginning that sideways motion. This is great for setting up the check hook. The lead slip pivot is also a great option against opposite-handed fighters, especially tall, rangy fighters and fighters with good jabs. Twisting your hips into the lead slip gives your hips potential energy, and you reverse the hip twist direction as you lead pivot and swing your rear leg behind you. The lead slip pivot goes really well with a lead parry of a jab. A lead slip pivot improves your angle and takes you away from their rear/power hand. It pairs well with lead uppercuts. The lead slip 5 is a great jab counter, and lead pivoting out after the 5 gives you a good angle. You can also blend the lead slip with a rear hand attack to get your head offline as you throw that rear hand, and then you can lead pivot out after. Use it preemptively and practice lead slip pivoting after you throw certain punches, especially after you throw your rear hand. After you throw your rear hand, you can expect a counter on the same side, because your rear hand is out of position from an attack, and so it can't defend against their rear hand. A lead slip as you throw your rear hand also generates power and takes your head offline. Tank does this all the time. In these examples, watch him lead slip with a twist after/as he throws his rear hand. Then he lead pivots out of danger. The lead weave plus lead pivot is a great way to improve an angle and avoid the opponent's lead hand while also taking you offline and out of range of their rear hand. Look at the outside foot position that sets up the lead weave lead pivot. Lead weave, four body, lead pivot is also a great jab counter. Loma shows us why you should blend the lead weave and lead pivot in this clip. Loma approaches with a jab, even LOAs with Waters. Waters responds with a 3, which Loma lead weaves while he lead pivots. It's simultaneous. Loma gets outside foot position, and beating Waters to this spot allows Loma to catch him off guard and close the distance, framing with his lead hand. Waters, blinded and panicking, tries to lead weave away from Loma's rear hand and away from pressure, but Waters doesn't blend a lead pivot into his lead weave like Loma previously did. He didn't see Loma rear pivot in response to the lead weave, and that rear pivot gives Loma a teed up angle, which Loma takes advantage of with a quick 1-1-2. In short, Loma blends his lead weave with a lead pivot, which helps him get a slight advantage. But Waters merely lead weaves the 3, and he couldn't see Loma's rear pivot because his head/eyes were down. By the time Waters realized he should have lead pivoted in addition to lead weaving, it was already too late. After lead weaving, you should lead pivot, switch stances, or any number of other things so you can convert defense to offense. If you lead weave under an opponent's lead hand, great, you've just avoided the punch, that's cool. Sure, sometimes you just want to get off the ropes. But don't just waste the opportunity that your lead weave created. Jab plus lead pivot is something that I don't think I have to spend too much time on, but I'll get into a little bit. A reason it can be good to combine jabs with lead pivots is that it takes you outside the center LOA of your opponent. If you always stay on the center line when you jab, you can get countered with the right timing, like this. Some combos I like for jabs with lead pivots are 1-1-2, 1-1-4 body 3, 1 lead weave plus lead pivot, 1 lead weave plus 4 lead pivot, 1-2 lead slip lead pivot 2-3. I also like to lead pivot while throwing jabs on my reflex ball, with a focus on trying to keep my center line always facing my opponent. The reflex ball training helps me train readiness to throw while I'm lead pivoting. A lead shuffle pivot is similar to other pivot variations we've looked at, but I think what makes a shuffle pivot unique and worthy of its own category is that after the hip twist that follows the lead slip, the reverse direction hip twist is used to generate a pivot that actually pops both feet up in the air at the same time. I love to pair this with a lead parry of opposing jabs. As soon as you feel your feet land from the lead shuffle pivot, you're ready to throw your rear/power hand. I love this little trick here, lifting your lead foot to the outside foot position in order to initiate the lead slip shuffle pivot forward. You can also lead shuffle pivot from the frame. I love this Loma example where he frames and smothers after a quick 6-3-6 inside to get an outside angle. UF-HHH12 left this comment about 213 timestamp on my last video, but I thought he was referring to Harrison because this is what I was focusing on. But I'm stupid and didn't realize that he was joking, so I went back and looked at Charlo's dumbass double punch, which absolutely sent me. But I already made a whole chapter of this video responding to my misinterpretation of UF-HHH's comment, and I was going to take it out, but figured, why shouldn't I keep it? I actually got so into making this chapter that I made an entirely separate video on check hooks, the footwork options, angles versus same and opposite handed opponents, examples of real clips, and so on. This video is actually out now, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and check it out. Newton's third law is that there is an equal and opposite reaction for every action. So when we throw a 3, there is a natural reactive force counter to the direction of the 3. We can leverage that reactive force by swinging the rear leg behind us while we throw the 3. It helps us throw the 3 even harder and improves our angle, especially against an opposite-handed opponent. Feinting an attempt to take the outside angle and lead pivoting helps you uncover intel that you can use later, dissuade attacks, condition your opponent to react a certain way, and it also lulls your opponent into complacency. You can catch them by surprise, so that when you actually take the angle, they don't expect it or react accordingly. For the love of money, 1752 left this comment, and while I might make a video specifically on this, I'll instead try to incorporate this idea into each successive video I make. I hope that you can see that I tried to integrate that in this video. Thanks for the suggestion, man. I also want to shout out Luke Gold X, who said, "Man thinks he can take 8 days off and not post part 3. He's keeping me on my toes. Appreciate that." And Roro Novazuro 2802 for sticking with me even though I take forever to drop these videos. And all the others that have been finding the channel helpful. Thanks so much for watching. I'm trying to release part 4, which is the rear pivot versus a same-handed opponent. I'm trying to get on that as fast as I can. I got most of the clips, I just got to throw it all together. Video editing takes a really long time, so I appreciate your patience. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, it helps the channel out so much, and it also makes it easier for me to drop videos in the future. Let me know what you want to see in the comments, and always, stay up, y'all. Peace.